Can I ask you something? Is there an assignment sitting on your plate right now that feels inconvenient, a little unfair? Not a bad day, not a rough week. I mean, a season, a prolonged stretch of leadership where something landed on your lap that you did not ask for, didn't feel ready for, and honestly kind of resent it a little bit. It could be a difficult employee situation that keeps coming back no matter how many times you think you've resolved it. It could be a staffing crisis that has been running for so long it started to feel permanent. Or it could be a responsibility that makes you feel like a fraud because you're pretty sure you weren't actually qualified when they handed it to you. If any of this is landing, I need you to stay with me today because I want to tell you about a season in my own leadership where I was kicking and screaming on the side about an assignment, where I was doing the thing, showing up, carrying the folder, and privately thinking, why is this my problem? And only years later did I understand what was actually inside that assignment. This is season 2, episode 6 of the Unbreakable Woman's Journey. My name is Francesca, but my friends call me Jules. So you can call me Jules. And today we are talking about the assignment you don't understand yet. Let me take you back, way back. I was a clinic manager in Hawaii, not a physician now, not a specialist, a brand new clinic manager navigating the sometimes beautiful and sometimes completely maddening world of healthcare administration. One day, a patient came to us, a real person now, with real diagnosis, with real daily pain, with rheumatoid arthritis, and that patient could not access biologic treatment because the insurance would not cover it. And the patient suffered because of it. Because the system here in Hawaii has not caught up yet. Now, if you're not in rheumatology, let me give you a quick picture. Biologics are the category of medication used to treat autoimmune disorders. Things like rheumatoid arthritis, where the body's own immune system essentially attacks itself. For patients living with these conditions, the difference between right medication and the wrong one is not just comfort. It's quality of life. It is the ability to move, to go to work, to get through the day without significant pain. At that time, way back, biologics were considered relatively new, especially here on the islands. It was emerging. They weren't the standard. They were not at the frontier, and a major private insurance carrier in Hawaii was denying payment for biologic treatment. Their reasoning was straightforward, even if the impact was not. Biologics were not yet considered community standard, which in insurance language, it means no local physicians were using this treatment for us to consider it routine. You can see the problem, right? Physicians won't prescribe it broadly if insurance will not pay for it. Insurance won't cover it if physicians aren't prescribing it broadly. There's a loop. And somewhere inside that loop, patients were waiting. We administered the treatment for the patient and the insurance company denied the claim. So we wrote a position statement. My boss put together a formal position statement with the support of a respected rheumatologist from UCLA. It was an evidence-based case for the biologic treatment should be recognized as community standard in Hawaii. The document clearly outlined the patient diagnosis and the disease severity and the medication he had failed, and why biologics were the most appropriate next step based on medical guidelines and patient need. It also addressed safety screening, monitoring, and the medical necessity, and somehow getting that document signed became my assignment. I want to sit with you for a moment because my reaction was not graceful. I remember thinking, I don't have a medical degree. I'm not a rheumatologist. I don't have the credentials to go sit across from a specialist and tell them what the standard of care should be. Why is this my problem to solve? That was my attitude. Now, the next step feels a little absurd. I got in my car and I started driving from one clinic to another clinic across the island, carrying that position statement like a woman on a mission, asking rheumatologists to sign it. At that time, my main focus was not on leadership titles or influence or changing policy. I was just focused on the patients who were suffering while we battled endless paperwork for treatment that could change their lives. I want you to picture this scene because I think it matters. Me, in my business casual, a manila folder in my hand, and with the position statement inside and a black ink pen clipped to the top. Walking into waiting rooms full of patients who were there for their appointments, sitting down quietly, not making small talk, because there was no one to make small talk with. Just me, myself, and I, and the patients, and whatever daytime TV was playing on TV in the corner of the room. Watching the clock because I still had my own clinic responsibilities waiting for me back at the office. And waiting to be seen by a physician who had not asked me for this visit. I mean, I made an appointment, but I'm the one asking for that face-to-face. Here is what I discovered about many of those physicians. They had heard of biologics. Most of them knew about it. They knew the research was promising, but they were conservative. And I want to be fair to them here. Conservative is not the same as wrong. They were being asked to put their name on something at a time when nobody else on the island was doing it. We're asking them for support for something that's not done yet. No community president, no local data, and nobody wants to be first. This is one of the quiet, uncomfortable truths of leadership that nobody warns you about. Innovation always asks someone to go first. And going first is exposed. It's lonely. It makes you visible in a way that feels risky before it even feels rewarding. But here is what kept me going. The first signature. Once one physician signed, once one person said, yes, I believe this is the right direction, something in me shifted. Not confidence exactly. I want to be careful with that word because what I felt was not the sudden arrival of fearlessness. It was something quieter than that. It was evidence. One piece of proof that it was possible, that the next conversation did not have to be as uncertain as the first one had been. And so I kept going, one signature at a time. But the truth is, even in the middle of this, even while I was doing the work, I was mostly thinking about the task. the process, the frustration, the inconvenience. I had not yet fully grasped what was actually at stake. But eventually, a physician from UCLA, in support of the position statement we had, that was written he had written directly to the insurance company here in Hawaii. And that insurance company, after weeks and months of lawyer talks, changed their coverage policy. Biologics became a covered treatment. And today, if a rheumatologist does not incorporate biologic in their approach, it feels incomplete. That's how normalized a breakthrough becomes after the pioneers carry the discomfort first. This is how normalized a breakthrough becomes. Can you believe it? What was once the frontier becomes the floor. And the people who fought to establish it often aren't in the room when the celebration happens. That's just how it works. I want to tell you that what this experience did, and what it did not do to me. It did not make me suddenly confident. It did not dissolve my imposter syndrome or make future hard conversation feel so much easier. Leadership does not work that way, and I think it's important to say that plainly because too many leadership stories wrap up with transformation that feels cleaner than real life actually is. What it did was stack evidence. It gave me one piece of quiet internal proof that I could walk into a room with physicians, present something unfamiliar and uncomfortable, and survive the conversation. That I could do something I didn't feel qualified to do and still move it forward. That proof did not make the next hard thing easy, but it made it possible in a way it had not been before. Because I had a reference point now. A moment I could point back to inside myself and say, I have done hard things and I can do this one too. That is how courage actually grows, not in dramatic moment of transformation, but in evidence accumulated slowly, stacked on top of each other, proof on top of proof, stacked on proof. And here is the part that still gets me, if I'm honest with you. I didn't think much of it at that time. I really didn't. I was just doing my job. I was not thinking about impact or legacy or what this would mean for patients across Hawaii years down the road. I was just thinking about getting to the next clinic before I needed to be back at my office. Years later, I looked back at that season and felt something I did not expect. It's not a feeling of pride exactly. I was in awe, like discovering that your ordinary faithfulness had compounded into something meaningful while you were not paying attention. Wow! That was part I was talking about. The humble or almost surprised gratitude in one of the most underrated gifts of leadership. And it only comes to people who stays in the room when it was uncomfortable, who kept driving, who kept walking in with a folder and a pen, even when they were not sure anyone would sign. Here is what I want you to carry out of this episode today. Many of the assignments that grow us feel inconvenient while we are inside them, frustrating, poorly timed, above our pay grade, not our problem. We only understand their significance in hindsight. And this is not just true in healthcare. It's true everywhere. Human beings lead another human beings through uncertainty. Think about the parent who is exhausted and overwhelmed. No idea they are shaping a child who will one day carry that steadiness into the world. Or consider the manager stuck with a difficult employee. The one who keeps coming back, the one who teaches you more about your own patience than any training program ever could. And then there's the leader in the middle of a staffing crisis, quietly developing a resilience they will draw from for the rest of their career. They don't feel strong right now. They just feel tired, but something is being built. Same with the person having the hard conversation they keep dreading. Now, they don't realize they are building the kind of trust that holds a team together when things get really difficult. We live inside these seasons thinking, why is this happening to me? When life may actually be stretching us into a capacity we will not fully understand until much later. Pioneers always look a little strange in the beginning. They are moving before the system gets to catch up, signing their name before anyone else will, sitting in waiting rooms with folder wondering if this is even worth it. And then years later, everyone acts like the outcome was obvious. It never was. Someone just had to go first. So if leadership feels lonely right now, if your assignment feels heavy or inconvenient, above what you signed up for, I want you to consider the possibility that you may be growing inside something bigger than you currently understand. You might be the person who collects the first signature, the one who moves before the system is ready, the one who is carrying an assignment that looks small from the outside, but quietly shifting something important on the inside. You won't always know it while it's happening. I certainly didn't. But stay in the room, keep driving, keep walking in with a folder and your pen, because one day you might look back at this exact season and feel something that isn't quite arrogance, but it's very close to awe. Like, wow. Okay, that's it. I'm Jules. And this has been the assignment you did not understand yet. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who is in the middle of their own inconvenient assignment right now. Okay? Until next time, my friend, stand and deliver on your assignment. Aloha!